cash prize and a 6,000 Ghana Cedi educational fund up for grabs. And our contestants are hungrier than ever to be the ultimate winner. Make a date with us this and every Sunday at 4 p.m. on TV3. Talented kids, free to play.
Royal Drinks, Jack and Jill Luzane, Diamond Baby Diapers.
Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable.
President Mahama, who addressed a Deber of chiefs and people of
credible and breaking news. All at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips.
Hello, good evening. It's the midweek edition of News at 10 on TV3 with me, Stephen NT. Let's start with a recap of the day's major news highlights. The Bupe Bridge in central Gonjo district of the Northern region has been temporarily closed to traffic for maintenance work. The closure is causing inconvenience to drivers, passengers, and is affecting revenue generation in the area. And government has asked the National Peace Council to lead negotiations in the Bimbilla chieftaincy crisis through alternative dispute resolution methods to ensure lasting peace in Bimbilla. The Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, in a statement in Parliament said government will ensure the Bimbilla chieftaincy crisis does not deteriorate. And the minority in Parliament has presented what it calls the true state of the nation. The minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, described President Nana Akufo-Addo's presentation as a campaign platform message full of untruths. And in the Ashanti region, the regional police says it has arrested 24 persons believed to have taken part in the recent mob instant justice in Kumasi. A release signed by the Director of Police Public Affairs, Superintendent Cephas Arthur, said the suspects were arrested Tuesday, February 21. One of them, however, identified only as Kusi, managed to escape during the special police operation. First Lady Rebecca Addo has urged the private sector to take active part in the fight against malaria. Speaking at the launch of the Malaria Safe initiative in Accra, she regretted, despite numerous interventions, malaria still remains the leading cause of morbidity and mortality in the country. Those were our major news highlights. Up next is the big one. Please stay. Welcome back to the big one. Now, the minority in Parliament has presented what it calls a true state of the nation. The minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, described the president's presentation as a campaign platform message full of untruths.
Those of you who listened to the president would have been wondering whether he was still on a party platform campaigning for vote, or he was now the elected president of the republic, who was speaking as the head of state of the Republic of Ghana. But we are not surprised and we were not perturbed, because he himself said that Ghanaians should anticipate tough measures to end their many sufferings that they promised in the MPP manifesto. Many of you who heard him again indicated that there is no fiscal space, yet he did not provide an opportunity and an explanation to the Ghanaian people how he intends to find the fiscal space. It is also to be noted that many other sectors of the economy were left out. Even Bimbila, there was no comment on it, even as it poses a major threat to our national peace and security, and what he is seeking to do as president of the republic. It's also important that I state that it is not enough for the president of the republic just to come to parliament and his is to condemn the continuous intimidation, harassment of public servants. Therefore, let me say here and now that President Akufo-Addo's stance on this act of lawlessness is most disappointing, especially as he touts himself as a champion of human rights and someone who upholds fundamental freedoms. We note the total absence of any acknowledgement of positives that the new administration may have taken over, including a few examples. Ali, we are aware that he has not introduced any tax instrument in the Republic, but he managed to get $13 million to pay the armed forces. It certainly meant that something good and something well was being inherited by him by the previous administration. The silence on the fact that the current government would not have to look for $750 million this year to redeem the 2007 bond that it issued without a plan of its payoff is also significant. On the IMF program, we find it curious that President Nana Addo Dankwa did not repeat his emphatic statement on the campaign platform that he will review the program because it was inimical to our nation's interests. Let the President and the MPP be reminded that those wanting free senior high school is not only the people entering in September, but every Ghanaian student in a senior high school deserves to benefit from the free senior high school on equity principles, and therefore they should come with a budget, even as they contemplated heritage. For how long? How sustainable was that? If you have a president who is crying that I have no fiscal space, yet he is accommodating new presidential initiative that is promising to finance, who has bastardized borrowing too as an option. So you see, he will be between the deep sea. He cannot borrow. He wants to cut taxes. He has no fiscal space. The end of his contradiction.
Right, so I have in the studio Ibrahim Ajay, who is with the Office of the Executive Secretary to the President and a member of the New Patriotic Party. Good evening, sir. Nice to have you here.
Likewise, Stephen.
Yes, so the minority is saying that, well, I mean, the President's presentation full of half-truths and untruths. I need your reaction to that, that a lot of the facts that the President put forward, the minority says, are distorted or they are untruths or totally not the representation of the facts on the ground.
Well, thank you, Stephen, and good evening to our viewers on TV3. I mean, what is untrue about the state of our economy? The fact that indeed we owe, in terms of debt-wise, 122 billion Ghana cedis. What is untrue about the state of education right now? What is untrue about the fact that energy, electricity costs more than your rent? what is untrue about the state of our National Health Service? I'm talking about the NHIS. What is untrue about the fact that a lot of the service providers want to opt out because the erstwhile government of President John Dramani Mahama was not paying them? And I think what President Akufo-Addo did was to highlight these key areas of our state of the nation.
You wouldn't say these are untruths at all,
everything
or
there,
half-truths.
Everything there is the wholesome truth. The wholesome truth. I'll give you one quick example that they wanted to I'm talking about the minority now wanted to latch on. They're talking about the fact that the IMF targets, they said that they didn't miss them, but where they missed them was because of extenuating circumstances. For example, they say that what President Akufo-Addo should have done was to highlight the fact that because of the drop in oil price, that's why they missed certain economic targets. But Stephen, here's the thing. We are a net importer of oil. So when oil drops from $122 per barrel, I'm talking Brent sweet crude.
That's supposed to be beneficial to us.
To $28.
But we also export.
But of course.
And so revenue accrued from exports will be lower.
Sure, but you see, budget estimations are based upon a whole slew of economic indicators. Oil revenue is one, cocoa production, agriculture is another, and then of course you have the financial services area as well, and then industry itself. You look at all those factors in terms of your revenue. Oil, in fact, is not a major contributor. We have gold as well, as you know. But the fact is we import more. And look at the quantum, from $122 a barrel to at one point in October 2015, leading to 2016, $28 a barrel. That was a huge financial gain for us, which means we don't spend so much money importing oil, because now the price has dropped, giving us that fiscal space. So how do you then continue to miss the budgets? I'm talking about the IMF. And what President Akufo-Addo did was explain it very succinctly to the point so that everybody understood.
And you don't think that in explaining, he possibly may have put himself in that quote-unquote campaign mode? That's what the minority is saying. You don't see it that way?
No, there's no campaign mode. I mean, President Akufo-Addo made the point that he wasn't elected to complain, but to actually fix the problems. And he highlighted certain interventions to actually bring Ghana back on track. In order to transform our economy, we have to transform our human resource base, which means education. The NDC said it wasn't possible, free SHS, not for 20 years. They somehow backtracked, 180-degree turn, and their intervention, what they called free, was a 37 Ghana cedi subvention. I mean, that's the price of your trotro from your home to the school. That's the intervention of free SHS under President John Dramani Mahama, the former president. What President Akufo-Addo has done, has highlighted, we've costed it about 1.6 million to 1.7 million Ghanaian students who will now enter the 2017-2018 academic year at a cost of around 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. It's being costed for. And so you know that we're on the path to actually transforming our economy through the key or the basic factor, which is our education and the next generation of Ghanaians. So these are the interventions that will help to transform our economy and make us the most business-friendly, people-friendly economy within Africa. And it's an economy that is inclusive. When you look at what President Akufo-Addo mentioned within the State of the Nation address, talking about the one district, one factory, what that does, in fact, it's across. We have 216 factories, and they're not all 216 districts, sorry. And all the districts are not located in Accra, Greater Accra. Greater Accra has something in the region around, I think, 16 or so districts, Greater Accra. And so you're looking at the whole nation being given an economic injection, if you will, that will create that economic space and vitality. And when everybody is in gainful employment, you'll see how the economy will expand, and then the dividends that will come from it. In terms of that expansion.
But while saying that, let's go back to some of the concerns the NDC raised in this press conference, which is the key reasons we're here. They say that the president did not make reference to some of their government's good work. For example, the Takrady to Paga railway line, they say, was a project that was initiated under the previous government. Is this not a concern that even if it was the MPP, I'm sure you would raise questions about why they take something you've started and you don't give credit to it? I mean, for example, the Pokuase interchange construction is to be started this year, September, and we're told that the $95 million or so contract has been awarded. Now, this was done in the previous government, but no mention has been made anywhere of the role played by the previous government.
With all due respect, I think what President Akufo-Addo did, he highlighted indeed President Mahama's role in the transition. And he said that his demeanor was a credit to our nation. And so the credit has been given. But on the specifics you're talking about, this is a State of the Nation address by His Excellency President.
It's not supposed to have everything.
No, you can't capture everything. What you want, within the limited space you have, you need to give out a clear idea of where we are as a country, looking at the key pillars. And we're talking about energy, the economy, health, housing, sanitation, those areas, education as well. But I think one key thing that President Akufo-Addo did, which, if you will, is a slight departure from other State of the Nation address, is talking about discipline. Once we get the attitude right, now somebody may say, oh, but what's the State of the Nation? I think about timeliness. He said that punctuality. Yeah. All of these things inure to transforming the society that we want. We want to be ambassadors of excellence.
And you don't think that the president was hiding behind brevity in order to avoid touching on critical issues that affect the generality of Ghanaians?
Honorable Aruna Idrisu used that word brevity. You can be brief, but I'd rather be succinct and to the point, and that's what President Akufo-Addo did. Right. You mentioned the Pokuase interchange. The sword for that has not been cut. They also mentioned in their press conference about the Flower Pot to Tema flyover and there. Again, that has not started. What we're looking at are the key tangibles. And what Ghanaians want to know is that over the last 12 months specifically, from the last State of the Nation address, how have we got to where we are? That's what concerns Ghana. Right. And having outlined that, President Akufo-Addo went on to explain his vision about how we're going to get where we need to be.
Mr. Ibrahim Ajay, I'm afraid that we don't have a lot of time, but we're grateful that you passed through, and I'm sure that we have a lot more time on our hands some other day to expand on some of these issues. Thanks very much for coming. This is still News at 10, and we're live from the News Hub. You can also follow us on our Facebook page. We're streaming live, also at 3news.com. Away from that, Secretary General of the Trades Unions Congress, CUC, says government should link the reduction of taxes to the creation of jobs to resolve the unemployment challenge in the country. Reacting to the President's State of the Nation's address, Dr. Yao Ba implored government to also consider reducing personal income tax to 20% from the current 25%.
Dr. Yao Ba lauded government's decision to provide stimulus packages to promote growth of the private sector. He also emphasized that government should consider reducing VAT from 17% to 3%. He was again emphatic. Reducing borrowing would strengthen the capacity of local businesses to grow and employ more Ghanaians.
There came a time where the banks came to offices and organizations and asking people to go for scheme loans because government was not borrowing too much money. Then once government started borrowing money, and government is big, and government can always be big, and government, if they're able to discipline themselves fiscally and reduce borrowing, they will free the space for private sector people to borrow at a lower cost.
Currently, interest rates are hovering around 30 to 35%, with base rates at 25.5%. The Secretary General commended the President for his firm decision to reduce interest rates and corporate taxes. The TUC boss asked the President to also reduce personal income tax.
We have suggested 12,000 per annum, which means that people who earn 1,000 Ghana cedis a month should not pay tax, so that they can use the money, what we call disposable income, to consume. And that is also another source of growth. If you take all the money from them and you put it in government, and you have an inefficient government, you are in trouble.
Dr. Yao Ba encouraged the President to review the over-liberalization of Ghana's economy which has created capital flights. He was of the view government should be strict in reducing importation and should pay adequate wages to assist workers.
When you come to wages, you don't just call somebody and pay wages to. The person must render some service. So for as long as Ghanaians want policemen and policewomen, for as long as Ghanaians want nurses and doctors, for as long as Ghanaians want civil servants, the teachers, and all the workers that are working for government, earning pittance, government should pay them.
This is still News at 10, live from the News Hub here at Adisawe in Accra.
A news anchor with style
and professionalism
must be someone you can trust, someone you can relate to,
someone you can bond with, and with real experience.
That is who we are.
That is who we are.
That's who we are. That's who we are.
I am Prince Kofi Amwabeng. I'm the president of UT Holdings. UT Holdings involves a bank and subsidiaries like a logistics company, properties company, and others. Join me on Monday, the 27th of February, as I get hosted by Pakwesi Asare on A Time with the Captains. It will be my privilege to share my experiences as we grew these companies with everyone. You will actually pick up what makes a difference in becoming an entrepreneur and in growing the businesses, and hope you will learn a lot from the experience. Thank you very much.
Time with the Captains this Monday at 6 p.m. only on TV3.
Welcome back to News at 10. Now, Ghana turned 60 this year, and as with countries in Africa, Ghana has partnered numerous development partners in assisting her improve on the lives of the people. One of such partners which have been collaborating to reduce inequality and poverty is the Ford Foundation. Tonight I have been joined in the studio by Eva Kuka-Quainum, who is a program officer for Ford Foundation. Madam, good evening, and how are you?
I'm fine.
Great. I know that Ford Foundation has done quite a lot of work in the West Africa sub-region. Tell us and our viewers what you have been doing in the sub-region.
Thank you very much for inviting me today. Ford Foundation is based in Lagos, the regional office. So we work in Nigeria, Ghana and Senegal, as well as in the West Africa region.
In general.
So we focus on youth access to employment, but also to education. So we work on creativity use of media. We work on governance and citizen access to decision making. Yeah. And we work also on political participation for women and young people.
And are there specific projects you have been embarking on in Ghana?
Yes, we supported the initiative around the elections and the observation of election here in Ghana. We are working also with community-based organizations that are affected by mining operation. And we support as well organizations that are working on fiscal justice.
So I know these are broader areas, but if we talk about the specifics of how these impact on the lives of the average Ghanaians, what would you say the objectives of these interventions are?
Yeah, our organization, Ford Foundation, have 10 offices around the world, as well as an office in US. And our main focus is on social justice. So the intervention in Ghana, as well as the other countries that are pointed out, is really to make sure that we are fighting inequality. And we identified the key driver of inequality, and one of them has been really to make sure that the people have access to decision making at local level, but also at global. And particularly right now, what we are doing is facilitating the social accountability framework, which allow people to have to participate on planning, but also on the implementation.
And
of
why
the
is this social accountability? Why is it important in the democratic space in Ghana? Why is social accountability so important?
It's important because beyond the elections participations of citizens, we think that they need to continue engaging the authorities, but also their communities in key issues that concern them. So if there is a kind of discussion around budget, they should be able to influence and make sure that some projects are benefiting to them. So it can be the building of a health center or schools or infrastructure that are really something that can benefit people at the local level.
Directly. Yeah. Right. Madam Kuka Kwainum, we're grateful that you passed through here.
Thank
you. Madam Eva Kuka Kwainum is a programs officer for Ford Foundation, and we're grateful for your time. So let's move away from that. The Bupe Bridge in the central Gonja district of the northern region has been temporarily closed to traffic for maintenance work. The closure is causing inconvenience to drivers, passengers, and is also affecting revenue generation in the area.
The Bupe Bridge is the major bridge linking the North, Upper East and the Saharan countries to the southern sector of the country. Works on the Bupe Bridge has become necessary as its major components have been rendered weak. This, according to experts, is causing danger to drivers, passengers as well as residents. Engineers are putting slabs and other components of the bridge in shape to make it motorable as soon as possible. The District Finance Officer Moses Kwame Tang indicated that the vibration of the bridge as vehicles use is frightening. Heavy-duty vehicles are known to be the major users of the bridge and reinforcing the tendency of its collapse. The finance officer expressed worry over the habit of some residents stealing goods and personal belongings from parked vehicles. The head of the toll booth in the area, Benjamin Gaze, said the closure of the bridge is affecting revenue generation. The alternative route for these vehicles is through Tamale Yendi Bimbala in Kwanta roads. However, the curfew in Bimbala poses some difficulties.
And relatives of some 6 children are being sought after by the state shelter for abused children, Atusu. In Accra, one of the children who claimed her parents reside in Accra New Town was seen at Achim Ofuasi in the eastern region.
The first child, an 8-year-old girl, could only mention her name as Mafia. This is making it difficult for the social workers to trace her relatives. 10-year-old Joseph Ewa claimed to have been brought from Ifiasi to live with a woman at Ashaman. He claimed the children of the woman began maltreating them, compelling him and other colleagues to escape. 14-year-old Baba Jamal claimed to have come to Accra with a mother from Moshizongo, Kumasi, but the mother died, leaving him stranded. He was later abandoned at a hospital and was brought to the shelter. Millicent Mame Ama Benewa, 10 years old, claimed to have been brought from the Ashanti region to stay with someone at Ashaman. However, she claimed to have lost her way when sent on an errand. 13-year-old Comfort Atiba claimed to have left Paga in the company of her sister to Accra, but the said sister abandoned her on reaching the city. 14-year-old Enyonam All Is Well Giorgio claimed her parents reside in Accra New Town, but she was found at Achim Ofuase in the eastern region and brought to the shelter. However, her inability to give further details about herself is making a search for her relatives difficult. Anyone who know any of these children should please contact the State Shelter for Abused Children or TV3 for assistance.
We're hoping that the parents or relatives or friends of these relatives or parents who recognize these children can help in tracing their family so they can get some decent upbringing. This is how we bring a close to News at 10, which came to you live from the News Hub at Addis Ababa in Accra. On behalf of the crew here, good night. And there is still more news at 3news.com.